Taking a few moments to settle into your comfortable seat, to settle into your breath, starting to pay attention to what's going on in your body, paying attention to what's going on in your mind. And then gradually shifting attention specifically to your breath and noticing whether inhalation or exhalation feels longer or easier. There's no right or wrong answer to this, but you might notice that one phase of your breath is a little bit more fluid or a little bit longer or feels a little bit more comfortable. So notice that. And then turn your attention to the phase of your breath that feels a little more challenging. So if one phase feels a little shorter, or you have to think about it a little bit more, doesn't feel as natural, shift your attention to that phase of your breath and see if you can invite it to match the longer phase. So inviting your breath to become even. Then you can take your tongue and just place it lightly behind your top two front teeth, just barely touching your palate. And begin to breathe with Ujjayi Pranayama. So you can take the roof of your mouth up and back. You can take your ears up and back, maybe soften your chin down a little bit. Find some space between your back teeth. So your back jaw, the back of your jaw is a little bit relaxed. We can start to breathe with Ujjayi breath, that whispering sound at the back of our throat. Really listening to that sound. Let all of your attention go to the sound of your breath. It should sound almost like you're holding a seashell up to your ear. It's the sound of the ocean. We'll continue to breathe with this concentrated Ujjayi breath for just a few more moments. And maybe you can now lengthen that breath a little bit more. So with intention, let your inhalations get longer. With intention, let your exhalations get longer. So each breath is extending, and it's a little longer than you would breathe out of habit. It might even feel a little bit challenging, but interesting. It's an exploration, it's a practice. So you can start to extend your breath. Just notice how long you can make your breath. And then perhaps we can begin to extend the pauses between the breaths. So at the end of your next inhalation, just wait a moment before you release the exhalation. And then at the end of the next exhalation, wait a moment before you receive the next inhalation. So we'll complete one more cycle of this breath. And then you can return to your smooth flowing Ujjayi Pranayama. Inhalations and exhalations equal in length, equal in importance. And if you happen to have a yoga block, you can grab it now. We'll take this block, put it out in front of you. If you don't have a block, perfectly fine. You can just cross left ankle over right knee. If you do happen to have a block, you'll put it out in front of you, short edge facing you, maybe at a little bit of an angle, so you can support your shin. You just want to get your left foot lifted up a little bit above the height of the floor. So from here, starting to work into our feet and ankles, you'll try to interlace your fingers with your toes. It's been a little while since I did this one, so it might take some time to get my toes and fingers interlaced here. I'm going to try to work my fingers in between my toes. You can use the opposite hand to work your fingers in there, and then you'll cup the ball of your foot with your hand so you can feel the warmth of your hand on the ball of your foot. You can stabilize with your opposite hand and then circle this foot around. Circling around in your ankle, circling one way, circling the other. And then you can work your fingers in a little bit deeper and do it again. Circle around one way, circle around the other. And we can release this foot maybe. There we go. Extend both legs out in front of you and just point and flex your toes a few times. You might notice that one foot has a little bit more mobility than the other. Just point and flex a couple of times and then move to the other side. So if you're working with your block, crossing right ankle over, you'll interlace left fingers between your right toes. This is going to be a little bit challenging for me with the broken arm, so I will sort of demonstrate. Starting to work your fingers in there, and then cupping your hand around the ball of your foot, circling it around. Circling around one way, circling around the other. And after a few moments, you can kind of work in a little bit deeper. Do it again, circle around one way, circle around the other. And then we can let go once more. Point and flex your feet a few times. And maybe they're a little closer to even now. All right, moving into the back of your calves now. You can take your thumbs, bring your thumbs into the back of your left knee. You can kind of feel around in the back of your knee with your thumb, and then move down from the back of your knee into the flesh of your calves, and notice where there might be a few places that need some attention. So you can maybe press or rub with your thumbs on those places that feel a little bit of tension, a little bit of intensity. You could rub sideways, you could rub up and down with a longitudinal release. You could simply use it as a trigger point and hold. A couple of moments doing that. Maybe you find a spot that you'd like to spend time on and just stay there. Or maybe you find that you'd like to kind of move around and there's several spots that need attention. We'll just give ourselves a little bit of self-massage in the back of the left calf. And then again, you can extend your legs, point and flex a few times, circle your ankles. We'll do the same thing on the right. So reaching into the back of your right knee, find the hollow at the back of your right knee, and then start to move your thumbs down into the musculature of your calf. When you notice interesting places, spend some time there. Give yourself a little massage, back of your calf, maybe pressing on those places that feel like trigger points, maybe rubbing side to side for a little cross fiber release, or rubbing up and down for a little longitudinal release. And you can spend time really focusing in one or two areas, or you can move around a little bit, explore, and find all of the places in your calves that need attention. Nice. And then again, you can extend our legs out straight, point and flex a few times. And finally, you can shift your hips over to one side. We'll sit back on our heels with feet flexed. So take a moment to tuck your toes, sit back, and then sit down on your heels. We'll spend some time here. If this gets to be a little bit much, you can stand up on your knees. But we'll do our best to relax into the support of our feet here. So now we're stretching out feet and calves at the same time. So while we're hanging out here, let's just take our arms out to the side and work some internal and external rotation. So you can internally rotate on the right, externally on the left, and then switch, and switch, and switch. And the next time you go internally on the right and externally on the left, you can reach right arm down, left arm up, bend your elbows, touch your back. Inhale, extend, switch. Inhale, extend, switch. So we're just reversing the rotation of our arms. A little time to open up our shoulders at the same time as we're letting feet and ankles and calves get a stretch. When you've done this an equal number of times on each side, you can walk forward, release your toes. Maybe pat the tops of your feet down onto the floor. And then we can step back onto our heels again. And this time, lean into your hands, maybe soften your elbows, maybe float your knees. So we can get a little stretch now in our shins, countering the work we've done in our calves. Beautiful, we'll walk forward. All right, this one can get a little intense, so pay attention to the sensations that you're feeling. We're gonna cross our shins and sit back. So crossing, I'm taking left shin over right, I'm going to sit back with my left shin pressing into the bottom of the musculature of my right calf. And I find when I do this, I can't quite sit all the way back. I'm about here. You could use your block for some support. Some of us might be able to sit all the way back. That's definitely not me. So we'll spend a few moments here. And then you can rock forward, change the cross of your legs, right shin in the back of the left calf. We'll sit back, just placing as much weight as is reasonable here. So it shouldn't be excruciating. Not so much that you're flinching away from it, but it might be kind of intense. So we'll just see if we can hold here for another breath or two. You can inhale, walk forward, circle your ankles, wiggle your toes. Now tuck your right toes and reach out through your right heel. So we're on hands and knees, pressing out through right heel. Maybe you even lift your left knee up and off the floor as you press back. So really strong here. You can set that down, try the other side. We'll tuck left toes, reach back. Maybe you even lift your right knee as you press back through your left heel. Lovely. Setting both knees back down to the floor. Let's make our way up to stand on our knees. And then stand all the way up, moving to mountain pose at the top of your mat. So we'll stand here in mountain pose. You can choose to bring your big toes to touch if you wish. You can choose to leave your feet hip width apart if that feels better to you. Let's inhale and float our arms up overhead. And with an exhalation, knees bend a little bit, hinge forward. So now that we're in our forward fold, try walking this out a little bit. You can bend your right knee as you straighten your left leg a little more. You can bend your left knee as you straighten your right leg a little more. Eventually make your way back to the center. We'll hang down into this forward fold. And then inhale to the half forward fold, letting your spine get really long. When you exhale, plant your hands, take your feet back. You're stepping to plank pose. Lovely. So holding in your plank, reach out through your heels, lifting through your thighs. When you exhale, lower. You might come down to your knees. You might come down to your belly. Maybe you're ready for chaturanga right off the bat. So if you're ready for chaturanga, you can go there. When you inhale, you'll take a back bend, and it could be cobra or it could be upward dog. Taking the front of your shoulders back and lifting your heart. Lovely. Let's take one more inhalation in this spinal extension. When you exhale, make your way back to downward facing dog. So now in your downward facing dog, we can get back into our calves a little bit by shifting weight from foot to foot and walking the dog. You can bend your right knee as you drop your left heel towards the floor. You can bend your left knee as you drop your right heel towards the floor, kind of pedaling out your feet. And at the same time, you may feel this opening all the way up towards your hips. So eventually we'll come back to the center in our down dog. And I want you to try bending your knees a lot. So you can come high on the balls of your feet, bend your knees a lot. Maybe shins even come parallel to the mat. Press into your hands. So as your shins come parallel, your hips are still reaching back. Keep your arms extended up by your ears. Now you can re-extend your legs, let your hips lift, and we're lengthening from the backs of our knees down towards heels and up towards hips. All right, now in your downward facing dog, try lifting your heels really, really high. Pressing into the balls of your feet, activating your calves, lift your hips, beautiful. Tip them up just a little bit more. That looks great. And now you'll drop your heels down, but see if you can drop your heels by a sensation of lengthening the back of your leg, in particular from the back of the knee down towards your heel, rather than a sensation of your hips lowering. So you've got your hips in this beautiful, high, elevated, extended position. Keep it and let your legs get longer to release your heels towards the floor. Nice. One more breath in your down dog. And then from here, you can bend your knees and look forward and walk or step or maybe float your feet to your hands. You'll find a half forward fold, full forward fold as you exhale. You can inhale, rise all the way up. And exhale, bring your hands down to your heart. Go again, inhale, bring your arms up overhead. Exhale to fold. We'll inhale, lift halfway up. You can plant your hands, take your feet back and lower, maybe chaturanga, maybe to your knees, maybe to your belly. Your inhalation extends you up into your back bend, maybe cobra or maybe upward facing dog. Your exhalation takes you back to downward facing dog. When you find your downward facing dog this time, try lifting your right foot up and off the floor. Try to keep your hips squared. Just notice what you did in your left foot. Possibly you ended up coming up higher on the ball of your foot using your left calf. So see if you can lift your right leg and lengthen your left heel down towards the floor. Just any little bit more. So we're again getting this stretch in the back of the left leg, and in particular, feeling the length in your left calf. Nice. You can set your right foot down now. Reestablish your down dog. Notice if you feel any differences between the right and the left side. And then you can do the same thing on the other side. You'll lift your left foot straight up and back, and then check in. Notice if you came up high on your right toes. If you did, actively drop your right heel down. It will intensify the stretch. Stay with it. Right heel gets as heavy as it can with your left leg lifted. Lovely. You'll exhale. Take your left foot back down to the floor. We'll take a full inhalation, full exhalation here. And then you can bend your knees and look forward. We'll move feet to our hands. Half forward fold, full forward fold as you exhale. Let's inhale, rise all the way up. Exhale, you can release your arms back down to your heart. You can one more time, inhale, reach up. Exhale and fold, Uttanasana. We'll inhale in a halfway lift. Plant hands, step or float, take it back through your vinyasa, back to chaturanga, and upward facing dog, and downward facing dog. You can inhale, lift your right foot, left heel is heavy. This time try twisting your right hip over your left. You can draw your right heel towards your left hip, maybe circle your ankle here, maybe circle your hip here. Nice. You can exhale, square your hips, and step your right foot forward between your hands. We'll take the right foot forward. We'll slide the left knee down to the floor, coming into a low lunge. You can hug your inner thighs in. We'll slide the right thigh forward. We'll roll our shoulders back. Just take a couple of breaths, just holding in the lunge here. Nice. Then when you exhale, start to forward fold. We'll bring our hands down to the mat. We'll start to draw the right hip back. Now we can get back into our right calf here by flexing right toes back towards the right shin. So we're drawing the right hip back, right heel is on the mat. We're extending all of this musculature here. We draw heart forward towards right toes, flexing right toes back towards right shin. We'll take one more exhalation in Ardha Hanumanasana. And as you inhale, you can rock forward. We'll tuck back toes, lift the back knee. Exhale, step it back through your vinyasa, back to chaturanga. And upward facing dog. And downward facing dog. From your downward facing dog, you can inhale and lift your left foot up and back. And then left hip stacks. You can bend your knee, maybe flex your foot, circle your ankle. Maybe circle your left knee. When you exhale, you'll square your hips and we'll take the left foot forward between our hands. Right knee will lower down to the mat and just gently pick yourself up into the low lunge. You can kind of hug your inner thighs in, hug belly in. Hands might walk up onto the front thigh. Maybe it feels good to reach up. Your breath creating extension, length in the whole right side of your body. And your next exhalation brings you to half Hanuman pose. So we'll take our hands down to the floor. We'll draw our hips back. And then eventually activating your left shin so we get into the left calf. Flex your toes back towards your shin. Toes might point to the ceiling, and we've got this sense of extension from where your left heel is stuck to your sticky mat. We're drawing the left hip back, and that's creating extension of the whole back of our left leg as we hinge forward. And with this foot active, we're getting a little more stretch in the calf. When you inhale, you can rock back to your lunge. When you exhale, you'll place your hands, tuck your back toes, step it back to plank and lower. Chaturanga, upward dog or cobra. Exhale your way back to downward facing dog. Nice. So once more, checking in with that length in the back of your leg. In fact, maybe you can step your feet just a little closer to your hands here. So you can take more of this pose into your feet. Take more of this pose into your legs, and you might get a little deeper stretch in the back of your legs now. One more exhalation in downward facing dog. You can lift your head, look forward, bend your knees, walk or step or float, feet towards your hands. Full forward fold with the exhalation. You can inhale, rise all the way up. Let's exhale, hands can come back to our hearts. And if your feet are touching, step your feet to the width of your hips. Moving into Pada Hastasana. Padas are feet, hastas are hands. Pada Hastasana is that forward fold where you slide the palms of your hands under the soles of your feet. I can really only demonstrate this with one hand at the moment. But we're going to hinge forward from our hips. Lift our feet, and you're going to try to slide your hands right underneath the sole of your foot so that your toes come to the crease of your wrist. So you've got the ball of your foot now slightly elevated. We're going to shift our weight as much forward as we can without feeling like we're going to topple over. Keep pressing into your feet. Maybe bend your elbows a little as you pull yourself deeper into the forward fold. And again, get this extension all the way from the soles of your feet up to the crown of your head. All of the back body opening up. We might call this our superficial back myofascial line. From the plantar fascia up to the musculature of the backs of your legs and your spine and the back of your neck. It's all connected. We'll take 2 more breaths in Pada Hastasana. With your next inhalation, you can release your hands out from under your feet. We'll exhale, hands to hips. Inhale, stand all the way up. Exhale, you can release your arms down by your sides. Let's step our feet to touch now. And now flex your ankles. So we're going to flex the ankles, let the shin bones slide forward. Try to keep your heels heavy. Let your hips come back. Flex your ankles, weights coming towards the balls of the feet to begin. And then take your hips back, weights back towards your heels. So we're working our way into Utkatasana, starting from the ankles. And we're trying to keep our heels grounded. We're going to have inner thighs in, have belly in, reach up. And now when you glance down, maybe you can see your big toes. Try one more breath. And exhale to fold Uttanasana. We'll inhale, lift halfway up. And plant hands, step or float back through Vinyasa. Moving to Chaturanga. And upward facing dog. Exhaling to downward facing dog. So find your downward facing dog, and you can inhale, lift your right foot straight up and back at first. And then stacking your hips and bending your knee, maybe circling your ankle or circling your hip around if that feels good. And you can square your hips. You'll step your right foot forward between your hands. Let's pivot left heel to the floor, really pressing down through the left heel. So from your navel, Ground your left heel, really extend. Keep that heel grounded as you slide your right knee forward and maybe reach up. So Virabhadrasana 1, and we're paying attention in particular to this back leg. Since we're kind of focusing on calves today, we can think about how that back heel creates the anchor for this pose. Keep that anchor as we allow the pose to expand and the right thigh to draw forward. When you exhale, you'll reach for the mat, step it back, plank pose, and chaturanga, upward facing dog, and downward facing dog. When you're ready, you'll inhale, left foot lifts. Eventually you'll stack your hips, bend your knee, maybe circle your ankle, circle your hip around if that feels good. With your next exhalation, you'll square your hips. We'll take left foot forward, right heel back, pivot your right heel to the mat, plant down. Reach your right heel towards the floor, really reach. From your navel, we anchor the right heel. This is our anchor as we slide the left thigh forward in Virabhadrasana 1. So often we think about, the extension of the ribs, the extension of this hip, all important. But let's maybe focus on the anchor in the right heel this time. When you exhale, you can part your hands or reach for the floor and flow through your vinyasa. Take it back, chaturanga, upward facing dog, and downward facing dog. Gorgeous. One more breath in your downward facing dog. You can bend your knees and look forward. Move your feet to your hands. Half forward fold, full forward fold as you exhale. Inhale, bend your knees, reach up. Exhale, extend your legs, release your arms, equal standing pose. So now we currently have our feet together. Let's see about bringing them back to the width of our hips, but coming back into Utkatasana here. So when we put our feet wide, it's really important to track where your knees are going. They may want to come wide, they may want to collapse in, maybe you're able to track them right over your ankles. We're going to try to keep ankles, knees, and hips all the same distance apart. Coming into this pose the same way we did the previous time, flex your ankles, and then take your thigh bones back. Flex your ankles. Take your thigh bones back, flex your ankles. Take your thigh bones back. Check in with the orientation of your knees. If they're collapsing in, lift your inner arches a little more. If they're collapsing out, lift your outer arches a little more. Press into the bases of your big toes. Let's try inhaling, reaching up in Utkatasana. And exhale, fold Uttanasana. Inhale, lift halfway up. Plant your hands, step or float back through your vinyasa. Chaturanga. And upward facing dog. Exhaling to downward facing dog. Once more, you can inhale and lift your right foot. Stack your hips, bend your knee. If you're craving a back bend, you could add wild thing in here. It's not something I can demonstrate at the moment, but you might flip it over. Find your back bend. And if you're in the wild thing, flip it back. Three-legged down dog, exhale. Right foot comes forward between your hands. Again, we pivot and plant left heel to the mat. Really reaching through the left heel as you inhale up. We'll exhale, straighten this front leg. Now we're planted in the left heel. We're planted in the base of the right big toe. We can scissor our inner thighs in towards the midline, still pulling from navel towards left heel. Start to hinge forward. So you might even want to put your right thumb or the heel of your right hand in the crease of your hip. Actively draw your right hip back as you bow forward over your right leg. If you need to bend your knee, bend your knee. If you can reach the floor, reach the floor. If you have blocks, put blocks under your hands. We'll keep drawing this right hip up and back. And now you can get into your calves again, if you like, by picking up the ball of your right foot. Oh. So as you draw your right toes back towards your right shin, there's a sense of lifting from right heel to right hip. There's a sense of lengthening all along the back of your right leg. You can exhale, put the ball of your right foot back down. Inhale to bend your right knee. Exhale, plant your hands, step back, plank pose, and chaturanga. An upward facing dog on your in-breath. Downward facing dog on your out-breath. This might be really interesting now after doing our warrior pose and pyramid pose. How do the two sides of your body feel now that you're back in a symmetrical posture? So just take note. And then try lifting your left foot straight up and back. And then stacking left hip over right. You can bend your knee, maybe circle your ankle, circle your knee, flip it to the wild thing if you like. And if you're in the wild thing, you'll flip it back. Back to three-legged down dog. Next exhalation, hug your left knee into your chest, step your foot between your hands. We'll pivot right heel down to the floor. So standing up, first warrior, really anchoring this right heel. And then we can work the left leg towards straight, maybe even put the heel of your left hand or your left thumb at the top of your thigh or in the crease of your hip. So you can self-adjust here. Draw this hip back as you square. We're still pulling navel towards the spine, and that creates the anchor in the right heel as we hinge forward directly over our left leg. Maybe you can reach the floor, bend your knees if you need to. Maybe you've got blocks, that might be helpful. Now, if you'd like to access your calf as well, try lifting the ball of your left foot. You've got this sense of lifting from the center of left heel up towards left sitting bone. And you can set the ball of your foot back down. As you inhale, you'll bend your left knee, hands reach for the floor, step through Vinyasa, back to chaturanga. Upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Settle into your breath. Nice. From downward facing dog, you can bend your knees and look forward. Feet will move to your hands. Find a half forward fold. Find a full forward fold. Let's inhale, bend our knees, reach up, Utkatasana. Exhale, extend your legs, release your arms, back to mountain pose. Find that your feet are the width of your hips. If they're not already there, bring them to the width of your hips. Now lift up onto the balls of your feet. So reach our arms up. You can find a gaze point out in front of you. Lift your heels, find the balance. Nice. Now you can take your hands out in front of you. We're coming into Utkatasana, this time balancing on the balls of your feet. So checking in. Noticing that your knees are tracking hip width apart. Coming into your balancing chair. And then let your heels touch down. Lovely. Reach your arms up overhead. You guys look amazing. One more breath. Exhale, fold, Uttanasana. We'll inhale, lift, come up halfway. You can plant your hands, step or float back through your vinyasa, chaturanga. Upward facing dog. Exhale to downward facing dog. You can inhale, lift your right foot. Stack your hips, bend your knee, flip it to the wild thing if you're craving a back bend. And if you flipped it over, flip it back, three-legged down dog. We'll step right foot forward between our hands, left heel pivots and plants to the mat, Virabhadrasana 1, first warrior. Anchoring left heel, right thigh slides forward, pick it up. Exhale, pyramid. We're drawing right hip back, bow forward. Nice. We'll inhale, lift ourselves back up. Now scissor your inner thighs in towards each other. Open your arms and twist right. So as you do this, I'm noticing that my right big toe is peeling up and off the floor here. I need to really press into my right big toe to keep the balance. I need to really squeeze my inner thighs towards each other and use my core to rotate. Nice. You can inhale, reach your arms back up overhead. And now pivot your feet, turn all the way around so that you're coming into first warrior with your left foot in front. You might be facing the back of your mat now. From here, you can inhale, straighten that front leg, exhale, bow to pyramid. From the pyramid, you can inhale, lift yourself back up. Inner thighs are scissoring in, pressing into the base of your left big toe, twist it left. We'll inhale, unwind, pivot all the way back to face the right side of your mat. So now right foot is forward. Exhale, hands reach for the floor and take your vinyasa. Step it back, chaturanga. Upward facing dog. Exhale to downward facing dog. Once more, we're symmetrical after being asymmetrical. So it might be really interesting to check in here, holding your down dog. And when you're ready, inhalation lifts your left foot. You can stack your hips. You can bend your knee. You can flip it over if you like. Maybe Wild Thing is in your repertoire. If you're in the Wild Thing, you'll flip it back, three-legged down dog. And with your exhalation, left foot steps forward. Left foot steps forward, right heel to the floor. Let's inhale, first warrior. Exhale, second warrior. So you can open your arms out to the side. Maybe you need to walk your feet a little farther apart. That's okay. Maybe pulling a little bit with your left heel towards your right foot. And now we'll straighten the left leg, shift our hips, hips reaching right, torso reaching left, Trikonasana. So one thing I've learned with my broken wrist is that I have a tendency to kind of drop my weight into the hand that's down in my triangle pose. That doesn't work when you've got a broken wrist. So I'm getting way better at supporting this pose internally. I challenge you to do the same thing, even without a broken wrist. Maybe rather than taking any weight in that left hand, you can just take the back of your hand in front of your shin or just float that hand. So this is being completely supported by the strength of your legs and the strength of your core, rather than dropping into the left arm. We'll inhale, reach up with your right hand, turn your feet, take first warrior with your right foot forward. And we can turn now to second warrior, right knee bent. We can extend the right leg, reach with your right hand, hips are shifting left, torso reaching right, all the way to Trikonasana on the other side. And again, light touch. Maybe not even touching at all. You might just float here, supporting this pose completely with the internal strength of your posture. We'll inhale, reach up strongly through the left hand, turn all the way back to the front of your mat. Hands reach for the floor and flow through your vinyasa, chaturanga, and upward dog, and downward dog. One more breath in your downward facing dog. And at the end of your next exhalation, you can bend your knees, look forward, move your feet to your hands. Feet will be the width of your hips. Half forward fold on an inhalation, full forward fold on the exhalation. Inhale, rise all the way up, really reach with your hands, float your heels. Arms reaching up, you can find your gaze point, lift your heels, and we'll come back into our balancing chair. So bending at the knee, bending in the ankles, balancing, and then you can just check in, make sure knees and ankles and hips are all the same distance apart. Holding your chair, drop your heels. You can reach your arms up. Exhale, fold Uttanasana. We'll inhale, halfway lift. Plant hands, step or float, take it back through Vinyasa. Chaturanga, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. You can inhale, lift your right foot. Exhale, step it forward, right foot between your hands, left heel pivots to the mat. Inhale is first warrior. Exhale is pyramid. You can inhale, lift yourself back up. Scissor your inner thighs in, reach. Revolved triangle. We're going to come into revolved triangle by reaching left hand forward and right hip back. You can even hook your right thumb into the crease of your right hip as you hinge. And maybe your left hand finds the floor. This is a good time for a block. You could take your left hand to the top of your right foot. You could even reach your left hand over to the little toe side, but light touch. So rather than collapsing into this hand, maybe you could even pick it up. Rotating with the strength of your core. And you can inhale, reach up with your right hand, come back up to standing, exhale. Hands reach for the floor and you'll flow through your vinyasa. Back to chaturanga. An upward facing dog. Exhale to downward facing dog. And then lift your left foot straight up and back. Exhale, step it forward, left foot between your hands. Inhaling, Virabhadrasana 1. Exhale, pyramid pose. You can inhale, helping yourself back up. Exhale, scissoring inner thighs to the midline, find your twist. And we reach with the right hand, maybe left hand hooks left hip. Draw that hip back as you reach right hand forward. And right hand might brush the floor on the inside of your left foot. It might touch your left foot. It might reach around to the little toe side, but it's a light touch. You can even float this hand, turning belly and ribs and chest and shoulders. Maybe neck and head if you have the balance. Maybe you're looking down towards the floor. You can inhale, come back up, unbind, unwind, exhale through your vinyasa, reaching back to the mat and through chaturanga. Upward facing dog and downward facing dog. Full inhalation, complete exhalation in downward facing dog. And you'll inhale forward to hands and knees. Exhale to your favorite version of child's pose. It might be knees wide, it might be knees touching. It might be arms back by your sides. It could be using your arms as a pillow for your head, but wherever you are, we'll take 3 breaths in this reset. And with your next inhalation, hands can come under your shoulders. Help yourself up to kneeling. We'll shift hips to one side. Bring our feet out in front of us and set up for Navasana, boat pose. So find yourself perched on the front of your sitting bones. And it might even help to kind of walk your seat back a little bit. Take a moment to really sit tall, shoulders back, base of your skull back, long in the front of your spine. And then we just lean back a little bit until maybe our feet float off the floor. You can leave your fingers behind your knees if that's helpful to you. You could let go of the backs of your knees and extend your arms. Maybe you can extend your legs. Maybe arms and legs come parallel to each other. Nice. So now let's see if we can come from Navasana Bend left knee, leave right leg straight, and sit down to Janu Shirshasana. We have sole of left foot on right upper inner thigh. We've got right foot out in front. This might be a really nice place for your strap, especially if you'd like to work on your calves. So if you happen to have a strap, you might want to grab it. If you're using the strap, you'll loop it around the ball of your right foot. Now, as we come down into this pose, maybe if you're using the strap, you pull just a little more on the right side of the strap. And the tendency in this pose is for our foot to evert like this. The little toe rolling forward and the big toe rolling up. And so the tendency here is to rotate this direction. So you can use the strap to correct a little bit, maybe pull a little. You can even move it down. Pull a little. So your outer arch is lifting and you can press into the base of your big toe and draw yourself deeper. Same goes if you can reach the foot. Maybe you're pulling a little more with your right hand than with your left as you bow forward over your right leg. Then you take one more exhalation in Janu Shirshasana. And inhale, sit yourself up. Let's cross left ankle now over right knee, foot flexed. Bend your right knee and sit tall. Maybe you even cradle your left shin. So moving it into a figure four. Now we'll re-extend the right leg. Let's see about possibly putting the outer edge of your left foot all the way up at the crease of your right hip. So we're moving into a half lotus. Now, if this is not okay in your knee or your ankle, you'll come back to Janu Shirshasana. From here, if you have a strap, you'll loop the strap around the top of your left foot, and we'll take the tails of the strap back behind us. Moving this into a twist now. So you'll sit tall with an inhalation, rotate with an exhalation. Right hand might find the outside of left knee. Left hand might come all the way behind you and try to grab your strap. We'll work our way deeper and deeper into this twist, revolving the half lotus. When you inhale, you can unwind your twist, remove your strap, unbind your legs. We're headed back to Navasana. So soles of your feet back to the floor, sitting on the fronts of your sit bones, lifting your heart, drawing the roof of your mouth back. Maybe fingers hook the backs of your knees, lean back until your feet float. This could be your pose. You can let go of the backs of your knees. You can extend your legs. You can extend your arms. All right, moving from Navasana to Janu Shirshasana on the other side. Left leg stays straight, right knee bends. Step your foot down. You might need to fine tune a little bit. We want right foot on the left upper inner thigh. We want left toes pointing up, left sitting bone walking back. Now we're going to square towards the left leg. And again, you may find that your little toe wants to roll forward. This eversion action in your ankle is really common in this pose. So you could try looping the strap and then pulling just a little more on the left side of the strap, pressing with the base of your big toe into the strap to counter that tendency toward eversion. You could also do the same thing if you're reaching for your foot, maybe pulling with your left hand a little bit more than you pull with your right. We'll take one more exhalation in Janu Shirshasana on this side. You can inhale, sit upright, and we'll cross right ankle now over left knee, bend left knee, Maybe even hug your right shin. So working into this figure 4, a little external rotation in your right hip. We can re-extend our left leg. Now we're trying to work right foot to the crease of left hip. So see if you can get it up and in there. If that's not okay with your knee and ankle, you'll bring your foot back to Janushirasana, still have your foot on the floor. But if you can, you're in half lotus. We're checking in with these toes. Again, I like to do that little inversion, external rotation thing. So we'll rotate toes up. Now moving into our twist. So you'll loop your strap around your right toes. Trail the strap behind you. Inhale to sit tall. Exhale to rotate. Left hand to the outside of right knee. Right hand comes behind you and maybe finds your strap. We'll take one more exhalation in the twist. You can inhale, unbind, unwind, remove your strap, unfold your leg, and reach both legs out straight. You can take the bases of your big toes together, really active in your quads, really active in your shins. Maybe you can even lift your heels off the floor for a moment. And then set your heels back down. Press into your hands right next to your hips. There's a sense of dropping your thigh bones and lifting your pelvic floor. We'll take one more breath in Dandasana. And then begin to roll our way down. Try to roll down over a count of 5. Belly's hugging in, hands can reach forward, rolling down for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release. Once you settle onto your back, notice if there are any other movements that your body is craving. Maybe you'd like to take a little bridge pose to counter the core work. Maybe you'd like a reclined twist or a happy baby pose. Maybe a plow or a shoulder stand if that would feel good to you. So spend about 5 breaths or so making the movements that would complete your practice. If you are ready to come straight into Shavasana, come straight into Shavasana. Get comfortable. Settle in. Nice. So gradually finding your way to a posture that you feel rested and relaxed in, a place that you can now integrate all of the work we've done in this practice. So settle in and then let go. There's no need to do any more work in your body. There's no need to control your breath. There's no need to resist gravity. You can just melt down into the support of the floor. And I invite you to really take all of your attention into the sensations you feel in your body. And you may find yourself labeling those sensations pleasant or unpleasant. Just take note if that happens. But see if you can welcome everything that you feel. All of your attention absorbed in the sensations in your body. And then noticing the gentle movement of your breath without directing it. Receiving the inhalations, surrendering the exhalations. Dwelling in the pauses should they arise. And you can follow the flow of your attention. Notice where it's drawn, where it alights. There's no need to cling to any thought or sensation. Just notice and move on. Your attention is fluid. And eventually your attention becomes broader, vaster, and it encompasses all of your experience without needing to shift from thought to thought or sensation to sensation. You can feel all of your body at once. You can notice all of the activity of your mind at once. You can notice all of your breath at once. Welcoming all of this experience, all contained within the vastness of your attention. And finally, disturbing your relaxation as little as possible, begin to deepen your breath. So you can draw in a full inhalation through your nose. Release a complete exhalation with a sigh through your mouth. And begin to invite back some movement. Fingers and toes can wiggle, hands and feet can start to move, arms and legs might reawaken. You might want to turn your head side to side. Just find the movements that feel good to you, luxurious even, as you wake yourself up. And eventually those movements carry you to one side. When you're ready to rise, you'll bring your hands to the floor. Help yourself up with the strength of your arms. Bring your head up last. And you can settle into a comfortable seat. So once more, giving yourself the opportunity to see what's here with you now, the sensations in your body, and the nature of your breath, and the flow of your thoughts, the vastness of your attention. And with your next inhalation, you can turn your palms up, reach them out to the side, and slowly take your arms up overhead. As you exhale, you'll bring your hands back down the midline of your body to your heart. Anjali Mudra, chin slightly lowered in the gesture of greeting and of gratitude. And we'll close our practice with the sound of Om. You are welcome to chant, joining me from wherever you are. You are welcome to sit and listen if that feels better to you. If you'd like to join me, we'll inhale and begin. Thank you all so much for being here this afternoon. Have a marvelous rest of your day. Namaste. Nice work.